watching The Breakfast Show, and now it's time for the last segment of this edition of the program. The Egyptian Nile Basin Discourse Forum hosted between October the 20th and the 24th the first activity of a program for exchanging visits between NGOs of the Nile Basin countries. A delegation from eastern countries of the Nile Basin, which include, in addition to Egypt, of course, North Sudan, South Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, visited Minia Governorate. And joining us this morning is Engineer Essam, the National Coordinator of the Nile Basin Discourse Forum in Egypt, to learn more about this program. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's a pleasure having you with us. Could you please explain to us, first of all, the idea behind the program?
Yeah, we are working on the Nile Basin since 2003 as NGOs and CSOs, and we found out that after the conflict that had been between the governments in the Nile Basin till the 2010, we found that we are facing a big challenge because they will have big problems on the Nile, and the water between us will be affected. We have international effect of water like climate change, so we don't have to have our internal problems added for that. So we thought about what we call the public diplomacy. Public diplomacy started end of 2010. But it was in the major or the big point of conflict between most of the East Nile countries, especially between Egypt and Ethiopia. And then when we have, after 25th of January, we found that it became our turn now to have something more effective, because we will start what we call it new chapter between the countries. So by April 2011, we have been, I was among a big delegation to what you call a public diplomacy delegation to Addis in Ethiopia, because the major problem is between Egypt and Ethiopia. And before that, between North or Sudan and South Sudan. So we have in this area of the Nile two major problems, or new regimes, or new structure of countries. We have been there. We found that by 20 or 37 persons from Egypt, just from the community, civil society, political nominees, candidates for presidential, we found that we had succeeded what we have not had in the last 60 years, not 30 only. And they will be welcomed very much from the community and from the entire political leaders in Addis. So we came back, and I sat with my colleagues. My NGO called Nile Basin Discourse has many branches all over the Nile Basin. We have 10 offices. I am taking care of Egypt office. So we sat together in the Bujumbura, Burundi. Bujumbura, it's a nice name. And then we have done what we call it retreat. The retreat that we said we have to increase the people-to-people discussions rather than to deal with governments only. So we have to get the people together. This first one, it was the initiative of Egypt. So we had acceptance from the board, and then we started this first visit. We have six from Addis, or from Ethiopia, from different areas, and 6 from Sudan, and 1 from South Sudan, and 1 from Eritrea. We sit together in Minia. Why Minia? Because we have to get out of capital. Minia is representing 75% of Egyptians. But if some Nile countries Nile people, they are coming to Cairo, they see the false, I'm calling it the false face of Egypt. The big towers, the high-class cars, the hotels, 5 stars.
Does it feel the same when you also visit African or Nile Basin countries? Is it exactly the same, the exchange of visits? Do you also get to go more to little villages or cities close to the Nile instead of the capital?
Yes, that is the number 2. The exchange of visit will be in Ethiopia, in a city called Bahr Dar. Bahr Dar is something like 500 kilos from Addis, from the capital. We have initiated that we have to go out of capitals. Minia is a very nice choice from us, because Minia represents 3 things. That is the people there, 50% Christian, 50% Muslims. So we saw how we are together in the same bottle. And also we have, we are in the Nile. We are close to villages that we can see some pictures maybe later about how
actually,
the villagers,
yes, we just had them on the,
exactly.
Yeah.
The villager there is similar, it's the same of the villagers of Sudan, and villagers in South Sudan or in Addis. So we came to the conclusion that Egypt, it's part of the Nile Basin. It's not North African country. It's not the different.
We've got more pictures.
This is our strategic planning for the next 6 months, how to put our priorities. The first thing that we will have a youth competition and youth culture camps in each country. This part of our meetings that we are set together representing the government, partially, not all the government, but we have been with the CSOs, with the media, there is a media of each country, and they are, this is the governor of Minia hosted us in the last night. He was giving us all the support during the visit. So this is the spirit that we have done. We have been to the Islamic or Christian monuments and also the Pharaonic or ancient Egyptian.
So it's a cultural exchange.
It's a culture with technical. Yani we have the culture cover everything. But in the same time, we are talking about technical issues like virtual water, like energy, sub-regional or what you call it, transboundary energy and trade treaties. So we are talking about everything regarding the community, but we are trying the hidden agenda that we let all the people all together in a place of Egypt that show them that Egypt is similar to them, not far from other countries.
And we sure hope that this popular diplomacy, like you've said, would bear the fruits of the efforts since 2003 and hopefully will come to surmount any difficulties that were there between Egypt and the Nile Basin countries. Well, Engineer Essam Nada, the National Coordinator of the Nile Basin Discourse Forum in Egypt, thank you very much for your input.
It was a pleasure having you, and thank you all for joining us. That brings us to the end of this edition of the Breakfast Show. Mace, that was a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Nancy, Sarah.
Do stay with us, do stay with Nile International, and do join us again tomorrow, same time, same place.
Bye.
Very well, and I have seen that you are very interested in taking